So here we go. We're going to, like I said, we're going to go ahead and get started. Nope. All right. So our first word, like what we said here, we have the letter bait, right? All right, we have the letter bait because it has a dagesh inside. And then it is pointed with a vocal shava. So we're going to have a B sound here, and we're going to have a quick E. So we have B, B. Then, looking at this next letter, we see that there's a dot over the right-hand side. So we know that that's going to be an SH. So we're dealing with the letter sheen, and it's pointed with a kirik, right? So like the two E's in the word green or seen. So we have she, and then we have the letter mem, right? That's a silent shva because we're following the kirik, which is a short duration vowel point. So we have bashim, bashim. Then we have chaf sofit with a kamatz, so it makes the sound cha. All right. So what is our word here? Bashimcha. All right. Bashimcha. Yes. Bashimcha. All right. Chaf sofit always makes a ch sound at the end of a word. Okay. So what about our next word here? All right, so we have the letter Yud, and it's pointed with vocal shava. So we have a Y sound and a quick E. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Then we have the letter Gimel, right? This is going to sound like a G, and it's pointed kirik yod with a lamed behind. Or yeah, we're just going to do it that way. It's pointed kirik yod, so that's going to give us the sound G, E, Gi. All right, Yigi. All right. Then we have a lamed followed by a wa pointed shuruk with a nun sofit. Lun, right? So the word is yagilun. All right, yagilun. All right. So now we have also a hyphenated word here. Right? So what's the first part of our hyphenated word? Kol, right? And let's see, what about the second part of our hyphenated word? All right, so we have the letter hey, right? This makes an H sound. And then this straight line is the patach, so it makes a quick A. Then we have a yud here. Now, if you'll notice, this yud's got two dots. See how it has one down here and one up top? The one down here is going to double this sound. So instead of this being ha, it makes the syllable, instead of ha, it makes it high. High. Then we pick up the second yud, and then holem wa with mem sofit. Yom. Yom. So the word is hayom. Hayom. Okay? So we have kol hayom. All right? Kol hayom. All right? So what about our next word? Now this is a pretty wild looking word here. So let's sound this one out together. So we have a wa pointed shuruk followed by a veit pointed how? Silent shva, because this shuruk is a short duration vowel point. So when the shva follows short duration, it makes it a silent shva. So all the silent shva does is closes the syllable. So this part right here, these first two letters, they make one sound, and that's the sound uv. Okay, here's a U sound and a V sound, uv. Okay, so we have uv. Then what letter do we have here? That's a tzadi, right? So it makes a TZ sound, and it's pointed with kirik. short duration I type vowel. So tzi. Then we have the letter dalet. And what kind? So did we have a shva that's following a short duration? What kind of shva is it? Silent. Okay. So we have uv, tzid, right? Uv, tzid. Then we have a kuf, pointed how? Kamatz. No, it's kamatz. All right. Ka. Ka. So we have also a tav here, and it's pointed how? That's a vocal shava because we're following a long duration vowel point. So te. We'll have the T sound and a quick E. Te. And then cha at the end. Chaf sofit, pointed kamatz. So we have uv, sid, katecha. It's a hard one to say. Let's do it again. Uv, tzid, katecha. Uv, tzid, katecha. Okay? So, uv, tzid, katecha. Uv, tzid, katecha. That's a tough word. That is a hard one there. Okay? So let's do our last word that we have. What's our last word here? We have a yud pointed how? Kamatz. We know it's kamatz because this guy right here is telling us make sure that you pronounce this mark as an A. So we have ya, then we have a resh, so we have an R sound, followed by a wa pointed shuruk. So this makes ru, like a kangaroo. So we have ya, ru, and then we have a mem followed by wa pointed shuruk, mu. So we have ya, ru, mu. All right, ya, ru, mu. All right, so we have transliterated our sentence. So let's read it together, okay? So we have B'shimcha Yigulun Kol Hayom Uv Tzidkatecha Yarumu. Let's do it one more time. B'shimcha Yigulun Kol Hayom Uv Tzidkatecha Yarumu. All right. So B'shimcha, what would that mean? No. This is not simcha. It's shimcha. Okay. Ba is a prefix that means what? In. So what about this cha at the end? It's a suffix that means what? Your. So in your shem, name. Okay? So be, that's why I was telling her if it was joy, that would be simcha, and it would be spelled with a samet. This is shimcha, right? It's spelled with a shin, not a samet. Okay? No, because this, what you would think would be a e here, this vocal shva, is actually a silent shva because we're following this I type vowel. So this makes a she, and then we have a mem, and it's telling us here, just close a syllable, shim. All right, and then we're just going to pronounce cha. Okay, so in name of you. All right, so, right? So how would we translate that? We would say in your name, right? All right, so what about our next word? Yagilun. Yud is a prefix, means what? Okay, will. It is masculine, yes. Okay, so in your name will what? All right, this un, we're going to use this as a parenthetical them or they. The un, not the in. We're going to use that parenthetically as un. So these guys are going to do something. So what's our root word here? Gil. 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 No, it's 3 letters there. Gil, okay? That's our root word. So the word gil means to shout or to make an excited sound or to rejoice. Okay? So, yegilun, what are they going to do? They will rejoice. Okay? So, in his name, they will rejoice. Okay? So, what about the word kol? Spelled that way, it means all. Okay? So, all they're going to do, they're going to rejoice all something. Hayom, they're going to rejoice all their days. Or as the King James sometimes says, all the day long. Okay? But they're going to rejoice at all times. That's kind of like what the scripture says. Let his praise be continuously, where? In my mouth, right? So that's what it's saying. In his name, they're going to rejoice how? All day long. Okay? They're going to rejoice all the day. Put a colon right there because we're going to pick up a new thought. Stick a colon in there, okay? 2 dots. Boom. You think it's a Shiva, but it's not. All right? So they're going to rejoice in his name all day long, right? So what about uv? What about uv tzidtecha? Okay, so the wa and the veit in. Exactly. Uv tzidkatecha. In, we're looking at the word right here, the tzadi, the dalet, and the kuf. Tzadik, right? Righteous, okay? In righteousness of you. And this tav is telling us something very important here. This is righteousness that has already been given to them. They are righteous, okay? It's not like they're having to get righteous, all right? These guys are already righteous, okay? So, and in, let's say, and in your righteousness, this is a righteousness that's been set up from a long time ago, okay? So, in your righteousness, then we have Yarumu. So, okay, so the yud as a prefix. What you got, brother? He's doing because his righteousness has always existed. Right. But it's something that's being extended towards others. Okay? So what we could say is like in righteousness or and in righteousness yours of a long time ago. You see that? Watch my cursor up there. So and in a righteousness that's been yours from a long time ago. No. We're talking about the word before that. Right, because there was a question about it. Okay? So, uftzid katecha, all right? And in your ancient righteousness, right? Then we have ya rumu. So, ya, this prefix, will. What about rumu? Meaning they. All right? So, and they will do something. So, what does the word room mean? Room. It means to exalt, to lift up, right? To put on display, right? No. So they will be what? They will be exalted. They'll be lifted up because of his righteousness of old. You see what I'm saying? We can't get to him on our own. It's through his gift that we can reach him, right? So who is his righteousness of old? It's Yahushua, right? So this is Psalm 89 and 16. And in the King James, it says, in your name they shall rejoice all day, and in your righteousness they shall be exalted. Okay? But again, we have to remember this Tav here is pointing us to a righteousness that has been there for a long, long, long time. Far, far before we came along. See what I'm saying? So again, that's Psalm 89 and 16. All right? Psalm 89 and 16. Any questions on this one? Okay. So let's move on to our next sentence here. All right. So we've got a little two-line sentence, but I promise you it's not a tough one. Okay. This is an easy one. So our first word we have here, let me get my letter, my thing typed out here. All right. So in our first sentence, all right, we have this little short word in the front. We have a kaf. We know it's kaf because it has a dot inside, and it's pointed kirik yod. So this is going to make an E sound. So how would we pronounce this? K, E, key, just like what you use to open the door with, right? So key. A key. That did that to me last week. All right. So what about our next word here? All right. So we have Aleph, silent letter, but it's pointed with patak, short duration A. So ah. Then we have this tav here, and this tav has a dot inside. So is this a beged kafat letter? Yes, it is, right? But we're also following another vowel point. So even though this would normally change its sound, we're also going to do what? Double it, right? So a becomes at, right? At. Then we pick up the tav and this kamatz hey. T, a, ta. So ki ata. All right, ki ata. All right, what about our next word here? All right, we have the letter tav, and it's pointed with vocal shva because it's at the beginning of a word. So te, T-E, te. Then we have the letter veit, right? It's a V sound, and it's pointed with kamatz, long duration A, va. So we have tva. Then we have a resh, pointed sere, long duration E type vowel. So re. Then we have chaf sofit. Just a no cha, right? It's got a shva inside. So we have te varech. Te varech. All right, no cha. Te varech. Te varech. Okay. Te varech. So we have ki ata tevarech. What about this next word here? Tzadik, right? Tzadik. We have tzadi, pointed patach, tza. We have dalet with a dagesh. Following a vowel point, we're going to double it. Tzad dik. D-E-K. Deek. All right? T-Z-A-D-D-I-Q. Tzaddik. All right, so what about the next word? Yud, hey, wah, hey. We should all know that word. Do you know, Brother Mike, it was so funny one time we were doing this class, and we had a fella that had been coming here for a while. And I said, oh, hey, we all know this word right here. And he said, brother, can I tell you a secret? And this was during class. I said, yeah, what's up? He said, honestly, he said, when I started taking this class with you, he said, I didn't know what that word was. I'm like, wow, you didn't know what his name, you didn't know his name. You know what I'm saying? He's like, I didn't know what that word was. He said, but I learned it. You know what I mean? So it's funny because I say, oh, well, we all know what this is, but we kind of take that for granted. Not everybody does, So we have the Yud Hey Wah Hey. So we know that that is Yahweh's name, right? And then what about our next word here? All right, so we have the kaf, hard K sound because we got a dot inside, and it's pointed with patak, short duration A, kaf. But then we have this tzadi, and look, he's got 2 marks. So this mark is telling us double it. So this ka becomes katz. Katz, okay? Then we're going to pick up another TZ sound and add this kirik, tzi. But then we have a nun, and look what this nun has. It's got a dot inside of it too. So what are we going to do with that? Double that as well. So instead of this being tzi, it's tzin. T-Z-I-N, tzin. Then we pick up the second in and kamatz hey, na. So we have katzina. All right, katzina. I did double the nun. All right, katzina. All right, so let's move on to this second one down here. All right, so we have, what's our word here? We have ratzon, right? We have a resh pointed kamatz, ra. Then we have tzadi pointed how? Cholemwa, o, with an N sound. This is nun sofi. Ra, jon, ratzon. Okay? Ratzon. All right, ratzon. And then we got our next word here. What's our last word in the sentence here? All right. So we have a tav here, and it's pointed how? It is pointed with patah, short duration A type vowel. Ta. Then we have a silent shiva underneath the ayin, right? So, no, because it's, look, it's the first of 2. So it's got to be what? Got to be silent, okay? So anytime you see how we have 2 shvas right here next to each other? The first one, in a case where you have 2 right next to each other, the first one is always silent. The second one is always vocal. So this is ta. You're going to elongate this sound, ta. Then we have a tet, which makes what sound? A T as well. But then we're going to use a quick E from this vocal shva. So we have ta, te, and then we have a resh, pointed segol, quick E, re. We have another nun, got a dagesh inside. We're going to double it, right? So this re becomes ren. Then we're going to pick up the second nun and follow with this wa pointed shuruk, nu. So we have ta terenu, right? Ta terenu. Ta terenu. You could also pronounce it as tatrenu. You don't have to vocalize that silent letter. So you can call it tatrenu. Yeah. I don't think so, brother. There are some that sound well because Hebrew and Spanish are both Sephardic languages, so they come from the same root. Okay, they come from the same root language. No, French is all right. So let's read our sentence together. We've transliterated, so let's read it together. We have Ki ata tevarech tzadik Yahweh katsina ratzon taterenu. All right, let's do it again. Ki ata tevarech tzadik Yahweh katsina ratzon taterenu. All right, so ki, what does ki mean? For, that, or because, okay? In this case, let's just use it as for, because we're translating King James, right, into King James, because that's what most people know. It's not that it's superior to anything. It's just that it's what most people grow up with. So we're going to use that for that, because they all mean the same thing as a result of something. Okay, so ki ata, for you. Now ata means you, right? And since it has a hey on the end, we're talking about what gender? Masculine. Okay, so we are speaking to a masculine entity. Okay, we're speaking to a masculine entity. All right, so that means that the rest of our sentence also is going to be gender specific. Okay, remember, you have like on in Hebrew you have what they call noun adjective agreements. All right, so your noun and your adjective have to agree in gender and in case. Okay, when I say case, the tensing has to be the same. Okay, so for you, ki ata, for you, what about tevarech? The tav. All right. The tav is a non-specific will. Okay, it's at the beginning, so it's telling us, for you will, grammatically that makes sense for us so far. So what's the rest of our word? What's our root word here? Barach, right? Barach, right? You will bless, right? So for you, tevarech, you will bless. That's why it's not barach, it's barech, because it's something that's going to happen. Okay? So ki ata tevarech, right? You will bless. Who is he going to bless? Tzaddik, the righteous. Okay? So it's saying you will bless the righteous. Okay? So what we would do here is we would say, for you will bless the righteous, comma, Yahweh, semicolon. Right? Because we're going to pause right there. So what we're saying is Yahweh is going to bless the righteous. Okay? What about kitzina? All right. So this kaf at the beginning, this is a prefix. We don't see it very often, but the kaf is a prefix. And what does it mean? Do you remember? All right. Kaf uses a prefix, sets up a comparison. So it means like. It's like something. All right? So like, and then this gives us the word tsina. So tsina. What is tsina? Now, most of us would know this word by another word. We would be expecting to see a different word, right? So we would expect to see the word magen, which means what? A shield. Magen means a shield. But we're using the word tsina here. What's the difference between the two? Tsina is a big shield. Okay, like you remember you'd see in the movies, you'd see a guy and he'd go out with a little round shield, but then you'd see another dude, like a Roman dude, what? I'm moving as slow as I can. Where are you at? We're working on that right now. The kaf at the beginning of katsina, the kaf means like, and then the word tsina is a big shield. Yeah, like like in the movies, they would have a guy would be on a knight on a horse, and he'd have a small kind of roundish shield or a kind of a target, a shield with a point on one end. All right, but then when you would see the Roman troops, how would they come in? They'd come in with these big square shields, and a lot of times those were referred to as barn doors. They would call those barn door shields or door shields, okay? Because they're huge. All right, so the word tsina means a shield, but it's a really big one. Okay? And if Yahweh is shielding you, you've got the biggest shield there is, right? So it's saying, Yahweh, you will bless the righteous, okay? Semicolon, like a shield or like a big shield, like a large shield, okay? What about the word ratzon? So ratzon means to be satisfied with something or to find pleasure in something. Okay? So in this case, the word ratzon, where you at? Okay, well, we just said what it meant. Okay, the word ratzon, it means to find delight in or to be happy with something, to be satisfied. Okay? So, ratzon. It says, so like a big shield, all right, it can also mean to delight, right? But in this case, it's being translated as your favor. Okay? Because when you like something, you find favor in it, right? And this is another thing. When we think of favor, we think of the word grace. So that leads us to the word chen. But that's not the case here. It's talking about something that he finds delight in. Okay? So, like a large shield, his favor, his delight is going to do something. Okay? So, we have the last word in our sentence, tatrenu. Okay? So, what do we think that means? Okay, so the tav at the beginning will, again, non-specific, it will, which makes sense because we're talking about not him, but his favor. So his favor will do something here. It's a suffix, yes. Them, yes. So his favor, okay, so like a large shield, his favor will do something for them. So what is our root word here? Atar. Very good. So our root word is no. Okay, so our root word here, well, yeah, actually it is. It is. It was because the hay, I was dropping the hay off the end of it. But yes, it comes from the same root. All right, so the ayin, the tet, and the resh, this is our root word. So the word atar, now Kim and mom asked like the word atara or atara, right? What does that mean? That means a crown. So a crown is what? What shape is it? It's circular. It very good. The word atar, to encircle. To encircle. Okay? So tatrenu means what? Will surround them. Okay? Or encircle them. So what we have here is Psalm 5 and 12. Okay? And it says, for you, Yahweh, will bless the righteous. And we see that here. Ki ata tevarech tzadik Yahweh. All right? For you will bless the righteous Yahweh. All right? And that also points to exactly who's doing the blessing here. All right? So, Yahweh will bless the righteous. And then in the King James Translation it says, with favor you will compass him as with a shield. But what it's saying here is that like a large shield, your favor or your delight, your happiness with them, your pleasure with them, all right, will surround them. So it's like a large shield, though. We got to remember, it's not just like a little old dinky nothing shield, right? It's a big shield. Did you have something up, Kathy? Okay. I thought I saw your finger go up. All right. So again, that is Psalm 5 and 12. Okay, any questions? Any questions? Are y'all enjoying this? Do I need to just shut up? Just stop? Have I confused you enough yet? It's just how it is. It's always, that's all part of learning, you know what I mean? You got to find, it's got to get in your head and you'll grab parts of it as we go along. All right, so we have now our paleo word, okay? We're going to work on this together. So we have our paleo word. So what is our first letter up here? That's the letter Aleph, right? So even though it's a silent letter, we're going to go ahead and give it a sound. We're going to say an A sound, okay? What's our second letter here? That is a bait, right? So we have a bait. And then what's this last letter we have here? That is the letter Kuf. All right, so we need something to go between the B and the Q. So let's just put a little A in there, right? Put a lowercase a and then I'm going to put a Q. So that gives us the word abak. All right, abak. Now the word abak means to grapple. Okay, so it's really weird. This word is very strange. So it's used to grapple or to wrestle. But it really means, this is the craziest thing you've ever heard, but it really means volatile particles. So what do I mean by that? So you're walking along a dirt road, okay? And you kick that dirt. And what happens? It makes what? It makes a cloud of dust, right? So you've heard people talk about a fight, they call it a dust up. That's the idea here, is that them wrestling on the ground. Now we're talking about Yaakov and who? All right, the Malach, right? So they wrestled, kicked up a bunch of dust, right? So that's what that means. But it means to grapple or to wrestle, okay? So here's the thing. When Yaakov and the angel were doing this, it was quite the what? It was a struggle, right? Because they were fighting with you. And remember, it said they fought all night long. And the angel told him, he said, look, I got to go. The sun's coming up. And he told me, I'm not going to let you go until you bless me, right? That's how strong his reserve was. That's how strong his desire to receive the blessing was. So here they are wrestling, right? And he said, I'm not going to let you go. Well, finally he said, okay, here's your new name. Boom. Turned him loose, touched his thigh, knocked it all out of joint, got away from him, right? So let me ask you this. It says that from that day forward, how did Israel walk? With a limp, okay? It is very difficult, or sometimes it seems like it's very difficult to walk this walk at times. Okay? In the face of the world, it's tough sometimes. In the face of our family, it's tough sometimes, right? In the face of other believers, it's tough sometimes. You know, people are very opinionated about a lot of stuff. Okay? And it's very difficult at times to walk this path. So one thing that Israel, and I'm talking about the people proper, I'm not talking specifically about Jacob, okay? But the house of Israel, one thing that they have always had a trouble with is walking the straight and narrow. Amen? You agree with that? They've always had a problem with it. There was always something that seemed more appealing, or there was another, you know, some other way to go or something, you know. So they've always had this problem. All right? This word today is used where Yaakov, or Israel at the time, and Yahushua wrestled throughout the night. And it serves to show us that our tests and our trials can come at any time. You know what I mean? There's no specific time where it's, okay, it's testing time now. Boop, now you're going to get to. He doesn't do that. They can come anywhere, anytime, any way, right? So let's do this as well. Before we go too much further, let's take a look. What is this Aleph? What does it signify? Okay, on the top, right? On the top, it is a servant, right? It's an ox. All right, it also talks about physical strength. Okay. I'm using a servant, sis. Okay. So the next one, what's the bait symbolize? That's a house, right? Okay, so it's a house. So we have a servant, we have a house. I can get this thing to drag over here. All right. And then we also have this kuf. It's the back of a guy's head, but it denotes what? It is his mind, okay? But it also denotes holiness, right? So we're going to look at it as holy, okay? Separated by Yahweh to a purpose. All right, so we have a servant, a house, and the word holy. So, like I said, when our tests and our trials come, we need to make sure that our house is in order. You ever heard that before? People say, hey, you need to get your house in order, right? It's even in the scriptures you've heard it, right? Get your house in order, because why? Judgment's coming, okay? So we need to make sure that our house, our physical house, right? Our family, right? Men, we have a specific duty. We have an obligation, don't we? Okay? We are the leaders of our households. So we need to make sure that our house, physically and spiritually, is in order. All right? There's a bunch of things that we struggle with. Okay? The scriptures talk about, and we talk about it a lot here too, we need to learn how to overcome some stuff. We need to learn how to overcome what? The world, the flesh, and the devil, right? So there's a lot of stuff that we struggle with, but certainly I think that the flesh is the main culprit, because we have a hard time with ourselves. We have a hard time putting ourselves out, right? We say, well, I can deal with the world and I can deal with the devil, but boy, do I have a hard time with me. I got a hard time with me. So therefore, if we're going to serve him, we have to remember, you guys are going to like this, I think, we need to remember that when it comes to serving the Father, we cannot serve him effectively unless the servant's house is holy or separated to him. Okay? We've got to be separated to him. All right? That's the only way that we're going to be able to worship him in spirit and in truth. All right? We got to be able, but we got to let's keep our houses holy. Right? That means what we eat, what we drink, who we hang out with, what we watch. Let's keep them holy. Right? Let's keep it separated. And that word abak is letting us know, yes, it's a struggle. And it's tough sometimes. But it can be done. We need his help. But there are things that we're going to wrestle with. There's things we're going to struggle with. But we have to remember that it's all worth it. In order to walk with him effectively, we have to keep ourselves on the straight and narrow. All right? So that's going to do it for our Parsha today. For our Hebrew class. So we love you, appreciate you. Thank you so much.